It was in June of 2023 when Amber Spradlin's body was found in the home of a prominent doctor in Floyd County, Kentucky. And as the community grows weary, thinking another crime is going to go unsolved due to the alleged political and financial privilege held by some within that community, we all have to ask ourselves one question. What is the holdup? Well, let's talk about it.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Welcome to The Point, YouTube's last legitimate open discussion channel, where I strongly encourage you to get your comment in before I disappear and become an unsolved mystery myself. Now, it has been about 8 months since I've done my last video on Amber, and I just want to let everybody know I haven't forgotten about her. Now, when we talk about criminal cases, this particular one has way more rumors and speculation than what's going on in Idaho. You've heard the rumors about the 911 call center being moved, which caused the delay for law enforcement to get to the scene of the crime. And then the rumors surrounding the Prestonburg police chief when he resigned shortly after the passing of Amber Spradlin. And we all know that that doctor made several phone calls before calling 911. And he was also told by the county's prosecutor that he needed to find an attorney. But I am more interested to hear what rumor you have heard the most surrounding this case. But back to the original question, what is the holdup with everything? It's not necessarily a topic a lot of people are talking about. And from everything I've read, it is actually a three-part problem that the prosecution's having to deal with. Now, the first problem in naming a suspect is all the evidence that is sitting at the state lab. Kentucky has said that they have a huge backlog of DNA evidence that is yet to even be looked at. And some reports have estimated that it would take up to 3 years for evidence to be examined and ran through the testing process. Now, they're blaming this backlog on a lack of qualified employees who are able to run these tests. But my counter to them making that statement is I would say, why don't you address your pay problem within your own individual state? Because as it stands, the state of Kentucky is ranked 47th in the country in terms of pay for this particular career field. But to be fair, Kentucky isn't the only state that is currently dealing with a large backlog of DNA evidence yet to be examined. But a lot of states are addressing this issue by going to a private lab, which is of course more expensive than having the state do it, but the turnaround time is significantly less. And considering Kentucky has an estimated surplus of $3.7 billion, I think it's safe to say they can splurge a little bit and bring some closure to some of these people who are still suffering with a tragic loss. Now, from very early on in this case, it was widely reported that the state had a large amount of DNA evidence. So much so that one of the prominent theories floating around online, and you can tell me if you've heard this, that there is multiple suspects here, that this was not one individual person. Now, the second problem the state is currently dealing with is the lack of available witnesses. And what witnesses they do know of, they are currently not willing to talk to the prosecution. And to be fair, this is one of the key contributors to the rumor mill surrounding this particular case. And I can't personally understand why these individuals aren't willing to help that poor family. Now, the delays in the DNA evidence and the lack of available witnesses are the primary feeders into what is causing the third problem here, and that is the 60-day rule, which essentially says that if the state wants to make an arrest in this case, they have 60 days to present the evidence to the grand jury and get an indictment. And if they fail to get this evidence to the grand jury and get an indictment, then the suspect gets to walk free. Now, of course, that doesn't exempt them from being charged again. But the problem is you start getting on a slippery slope here. Because in the event that they don't get strong enough evidence, or the criminal defense attorney can get their suspect exonerated, it opens up the state to some potential lawsuits. And for everything that I've been able to read up to this point, that seems like something the prosecutor is wanting to avoid at all costs. In fact, he has gone on and said that when he names a suspect, he wants this evidence to be so ironclad that in no way, shape, or form will this suspect walk. Which is fine, but with the rumors the way they are, I certainly hope that they announce a suspect sooner rather than later. As we said in the beginning of the video, the state has the funds to send this DNA evidence to a private lab. and they can expedite these tests to name a suspect. But the rumors and speculation are absolutely rampant. And I would wonder from y'all if it's safe to assume that there has been a gross amount of incompetence with the officials surrounding this particular case. Now, as always, if you see any of these things differently, you can let me know down in the comments below. Other than that, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. Y'all stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.